I welcome you all in this amazing series of JavaScript. My name is Danish Bukhari and I am a full stack web developer with thousands of hours experience in programming industry. Now, the motive of this series is to make you a perfect JavaScript developer. So we'll be learning everything from absolutely scratch and we'll be ended up as a full stack MERN developer. So ultimately, we'll be not only learning JavaScript, but later we'll also cover React.js, Node.js, MongoDB. So now, if you are confused with this term, that what is MongoDB, what is Node.js, what is Visual Studio Code, so don't worry about anything. We'll be cover everything, but step by step. So I will make sure that you are getting everything right. Okay, so the prerequisite of the series are HTML and CSS. So I'll be assuming throughout the series that you are already familiar with HTML and CSS. But if you don't know about HTML and CSS, then just let me know. I will create another series for HTML and CSS as well. So, in today's video, we'll be covering the absolute basics of JavaScript. That includes what is JavaScript, installing Visual Studio Code, how to connect JavaScript, writing our first code in JavaScript. Yes, you heard me right. We'll write our first code today in this video. So, just be with me. Now, first of all, I would like to teach you that what is JavaScript actually. Okay, so JavaScript is a programming language, but before going on to the formal definition, I would like to give you a analogy so that you can get a better concept that what is JavaScript. Okay, so take an example of a Lambo car. Okay, so now what happened in the manufacturing of a Lambo. First, we create the structure of our Lambo, right? Then we paint and design the structure of our Lambo to make it look beautiful, right? Then the third part is to put an engine in the car. Now, similarly, what we do in web development, first we create the structure of a web page that can maybe a website or a web application or even a software. So what we do first, we first create its structure. Now, how we create structure, as I said that you have already familiar with HTML and CSS. So HTML, which is hypertext markup language, is a thing by which we create the structure of a web page in web development. Okay, then as manufacturers paint the car Lambo to make it look beautiful, what we do in web development, we design and structurize, like we give colors, we give stylings, we give text fonts, we give text sizes to our web pages content to make them look beautiful. Okay, now what is CSS? CSS is a cascading style sheet by which we give design and styling to our web pages. Now, as I already gave you an example of a Lambo, so the third part in a Lambo factory, they put the engine in the car to make it functional, right? If we don't have an engine in our Lambo, then Lambo will be useless because it won't run on the road. Similarly, if our web pages don't have any programming language, then it won't do any functionality. Just we can use that web page as a visiting card, right? Like we do give visiting cards to introduce our businesses. Similarly, we can use those websites, but the website will not have any functionality unless we use JavaScript in there. So as we put the engine in the car to make it functional, in a similar manner, we put JavaScript in our web pages to make them functional and alive. Okay, So that is what JavaScript is. Now, why we say JavaScript is a programming language? Now, let's understand the logic. So as I told you, JavaScript used to give the functionalities. So now, let's take an example of our brain. God created us, and first he created our structure, then he put skin on it to make it beautiful, then he puts the brain in our head so that he programmed us in a way that we can do multiple things. Like whenever we're hungry, we feel the hunger, right? So that what programming is. Programming creates the logic and functions in anything. Okay, so our brain itself is a programmed product. Similarly, when we put JavaScript in web pages, so these web pages become a programmed product because we have given them the instructions to perform a particular thing. Okay, so that was the analogy to understand JavaScript in a more clearer way. So now let's come on to the formal definition of JavaScript so that you can understand each and everything. So JavaScript, which is abbreviated as JS, is a programming language that conforms to the ECMAScript specification. Now, the question is, what is ECMAScript, right? ECMAScript is basically a regulating authority of JavaScript. So what the guys do, they update the JavaScript after some time to make it maintainable with the current programming languages and trends. Okay, now you can just ECMAScript, you can understand ECMAScript just as this, like I explained, but ECMAScript has introduced some very special features in the past year, which I'll be explaining you in our next videos, because if now we will go on to that part, so it will be very difficult to understand because now we haven't finished with the basics. So first of all, we have to learn the basics. All right. So it was initially created to make web pages alive, as I told you. Okay. So it is lightweighted and most commonly used as a part of web pages. Now, what is mean by lightweight? We named JavaScript as a lightweight programming language because it has a very optimized code. So whenever we do programming in JavaScript, it occurs already minimum space in the service. Okay, so that's the beauty of JavaScript. All right. So and most commonly used as a part of web pages, as I told you, it gives the functionality. So that's why it is commonly used, and whose implementation allow client-side script to interact with the user and make dynamic pages. Like I told you earlier, Uh, but first of all, we should have understanding that what is client side and what is server side. So take the example that you open your laptop and you write there www.facebook.com. Okay? Now, what will happen? First of all, the request will be sent to the server of Facebook that this client from this IP address wants the Facebook in his computer. Okay, so the server will receive the request from your computer and it will respond accordingly so that it will send a file including all the code which will run onto your computer to display facebook.com. Okay, so that's what happened in the server side, but when the file will be arrived at your IP address, then it will display something, right? So all that display which will be in your computer is the client side script. So client side script means that the code which is running on the client side. Okay? Yeah. So client side script to interact with the user and make dynamic pages. So dynamic means anything moving, anything have functionality is dynamic. So I already told you. Okay, so using JavaScript, we can change and update both HTML and CSS. Now, it's an amazing feature of JavaScript, yet that you can manipulate your HTML and CSS without even writing HTML CSS formally as we do. Okay, so that's called DOM manipulation in JavaScript, and it is a very interesting thing which will be covered in the upcoming videos. Because now we'll be focused on the very basics. Then we'll go on to the perfection, onto the perfection. So yeah, so we'll go to everything step by step. And now I would like to explain a very common confusion about Java and JavaScript. So what people usually think that Java and JavaScript are same programming languages because the name is similar. But that's not the case. JavaScript has no link with Java programming language. It is a fully independent language with its own specifications. Java programming mainly used to develop Android. Okay, so Java mainly used in Android development, where JavaScript mainly used in web development. Okay, so both of them are independent languages and has their own specifications. So that what JavaScript is. Now, I would like to explain you that how we write JavaScript. So we write JavaScript in a code editor. Like now I am in the Visual Studio Code, which is a open source code editor produced by Microsoft. Okay, so there are different code editors. Now, what code editors do? The question is, however, we can write any code in a simple notepad of our computer. But that will be so much difficult because we have to type every single letter. So what these code editors do, they help me in order to write code. Like, let me give you an example. So if I will write H1, so it will show me the H1 tag. So if I will click on it, it will automatically convert it into a HTML tag. So that's the power of code editors. Now there are different code editors available in the market, but I will go with the Visual Studio Code because it is most easy and have all the necessary tools with what we would need. Okay, so to install Visual Studio Code, what we have to do, we will go to the Visual Studio Code official website to download it. So let me show you. Actually, some programs are running onto my computer. That's why it's taking a little bit time. So please bear that. Now I'll write Visual Studio download. Just follow this step. Okay, so you have to follow and do whatever I'm doing along me. So here we have download Visual Studio called Studio Tools. So we'll open it. All right, so here we are. As you can see, here we also have the logo of Microsoft. Okay, so yeah, now here we have the Visual Studio Code. So we'll tap on it, and here we have options for different operating systems. I'm using Windows, so I will go there. You can select any options according to your operating system. It doesn't matter. So here we are. Now we'll click on the download button and the download will be start. Now, similarly, as you already have installed some games on your computer, it's similar. So I'm not gonna downloading it because it's already in my computer. So all you have to do is to just do next, 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 install and finish. Then it will be shown onto the desktop of your computer. Okay. So now, once you will have the Visual Studio Code installed into your computer, what you have to do is to create a new folder. I will write here tut1.js. Okay, so now I will right click on it, and here we have the option open with code. You will also have this option once you will have Visual Studio Code in your computer. Now tap on it, so it will open a Visual Studio Code window with this folder which I just created. Because of some background running programs, my computer is a little bit slow, but we will manage. So here, what we need to do now, we're gonna cover the next thing, which is how we can connect JavaScript with HTML and CSS. Okay, so to do that, what we need to do first, we have to create a index.html file. Okay, now once we'll have this file in your computer, let me show you running file creation participants. I don't know why it's taking so much time. Just give me a second. All right, so here we have created the index.html file. Now what we have to do, press shift and the exclamation mark right here. Now it will show us the option for Emmet abbreviation. Now what is Emmet abbreviation? Emmet abbreviation is a template to write HTML. So we'll click on it. Here we have our template. Now I'm gonna put a simple h1 tag, and inside here I will write JavaScript tutorial 1. Okay, now what you have to do, you have to install a extension called live server. How you can do it, go onto extensions section. Here you have to write live server. Okay, open it. I have already installed. Then you have to click on install button here, so it will show up right here automatically. Okay, so once you will have the live server installed in your computer, all you have to do is to click on go live button. So we'll click on it. All right, so it has take us here on this page. Okay, so now why I said to install live server, because it reflects the live changes in our code. Okay, I will give you this I will give you this demonstration later. So now, as I spoke that we are going to attach the JavaScript file. So there are three different methods to connect JavaScript. The first method is to write the script tag in the head section like this, and here we can write any JavaScript code. But the more optimized way is to do it just behind the body tag. Okay, but there is also another way to do that, which is the best way, and I always recommend you to do that, to do it like this. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I will create another file called index.js. Now, why I'm giving it a name with index.js, so it's just a convention, as in the case of index.html, we always give the name index to our main file. Now, similarly, we do the same in JavaScript, so it's just a convention. However, you can give it another name, but in some cases, the index.js will be required to the main file. Okay, as it's a convention and has been using from the beginning of coding. Okay, so yeah. All right, so as we have now created index.js file as well. So here is the moment where I will write my first code, and also you have to write this code with me. Okay, so basically it's your first code. All right, so now we have to attach this index.js file as we do in the case of CSS. We uh, write link tag, and in the src we write the name of our CSS file. Right now, similarly, we have to write the tag script here, and in the src we will write index.js. Okay, now the file is connected with our index.html. So here's the moment when you will be write your first code. Okay, so the now for first code will be to display something in JavaScript. Now how we do that, you will have to write console.log, put the braces, then quotes, and here we can write anything. So I will write hello world. Okay, so that's how your first code will look like. Now what will happen when I will open our local host here? I will right click on the page, click on inspect, and here we have our first code displayed, hello world. Now what is this window? This window is developer console. Now why we call it console? It because it confirm it it confirm comforts the developer's life. Okay, so as you can see here, we can see the HTML we have wrote. We can also see the CSS we write. Also, we can track all the functions and code, and also we can also see the errors in our JavaScript right here. Okay, so that's the power of developer console. Okay, so now as we have write our first code, so I would like to congratulate you on that. So, okay, so I will write here congratulates for writing your first code like this. So now if I will go to localhost, it will reflect the change which I just made. So that's the power of live server. Okay, so congratulates for writing your first code. So that was it. In this video, we covered what is JavaScript, how we can connect JavaScript with HTML, how we can display something in the developer console by writing a code. Okay, so we'll be covering the next topics like what are variables in JavaScript, what are functions, what are global and block scopes, what are loops and how they work. So we'll be covering all of these topics in the upcoming videos. So stay tuned with this amazing series of JavaScript. So take care, keep coding, keep learning, and bye bye.